Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. Isn't this cute? It's a pumpkin pillow, and this is just a basic quilt block cut into the shape of a pillow. There are two different ways you can do this one. This one here has cotton batting with quilting stitches on the front. I've also added a strip of piping all around all four edges. If you don't want to do that, you can do it without the cotton batting. I used a lightweight interfacing on the inside here, and you can leave the piping off. So this is what it'll look like no matter which option you choose. Let me show you one more little thing you can do with this block. This is a placemat. This is a tutorial I did about 3 years ago, and it's the same quilt block, but I turned it into a placemat. So if you're interested in doing the placemats, that link will be listed below your YouTube screen in the description section. You just scroll down below your screen and look for Show More or the down arrow. Click on either one of those, scroll down a little bit till you find the link to the placemat. All of the fabric supplies that you will need are going to be listed below your YouTube screen in the description section. Also listed in that section will be the size of your fabric to cut all the little pieces. All those sizes will be down there. Scroll down to where you see Show More or the down arrow, and you will see that information appearing. Now you're going to take the 6 strips for the body, and I made mine all different colors. It made it more interesting. Always go through your scrap pile first to see what you have before you run out and buy more fabric. So on the outside edge, you'll have the 2 pieces here, and you're going to put 2.5-inch squares at each end. The total number of 2.5-inch squares are 6. On all 6, you're going to draw a line from corner to corner. So I will take a ruler, place it there, and draw a line. So place your 2.5-inch squares at each end, and the lines should be going in this direction. So from this bottom corner up to the outer point right here on both. You're going to stitch on this side of the drawn line, and you're going to stitch real close to it. So you stitch on the outside here and here. Now you're trim the lower outside corner off 1/4 inch beyond the stitch line. So place your ruler there, and either with scissors or a rotary cutter, trim it off. And again, you do it on all 4 corners. Press the seam on the back side, then unfold and press this corner out away from this strip. And the seam is pressed towards this little half square triangle. You do that on all 4 corners. Now you're going to stitch all of the strips together. I've already stitched these. You're going to do a 1/4 inch seam. And so you just bring front sides together of the strips and stitch 1/4 inch. Once you've got the body here attached, then attach your outside strips. This is what the block looks like at this point. So these little background half square triangles are on the outside towards the corner. Before you continue adding any more strips on, you want to look on the outer edges of your block, and if you have anything that's sticking out, you want to trim it even with your strip edge. I recommend you use a ruler to line it up and then trim anything that's sticking out off. Take your piece of background fabric that's about 5.5 inches wide by 2.5 inches. Take one of your 2.5-inch squares for the stem. I'm using a chocolate brown, and bring it on one edge, stitch 1/4 inch seam. Then press this seam, unfold, and press the seam towards the square. Now I'm going to work on the stem, so take your fabric for the stem, Place squares in each corner that have the drawn lines on them. This time you're going to have your lines going in the same direction like this. You're going to stitch on next to the line on the outside on this side and next to the line out on this side. Trim both outer corners off. Trim it down to a 1/4 inch wide seam on both sides. Press both seams on the back side, then unfold and press the corners out and away from the green here. Now you're going to take the stem and the leaf, bring them together, front sides, and stitch 1/4 inch seam along here, and then press the seam. At this point, this is what the upper strip looks like. And then this is what it looks like on the back. And when I was pressing this last seam here, I pressed it towards the stem. So this is the back side of the pumpkin body. I'm going to turn it over. Now you're going to stitch these two sections together. So bring front sides together, and then you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam along here. So now it should look like this. Now this little strip over here, I accidentally cut it a little too long. So you want to always look on the outside edge of your block and make sure everything is straight. So I will be trimming this off. So now you're going to take the two strips for the outer edge. I always cut these two strips just slightly longer than I need, because when you do a quilt block, you're never quite sure what size it's going to turn out. You have a goal that you aim towards, but it doesn't always get there. So in order for my strips to fit and I don't have to recut, I'll just add another 1/2 inch. So now I'm going to center these outside strips and then stitch a 1/4 inch seam. Do the same thing on this edge. Do a 1/4 inch seam. Then you're going to press on the back side, unfold, and press on the outer edge. And then if you have anything sticking out, you want to go ahead and trim that off. Take your two strips for the top and bottom, and you're going to bring them on top at this upper edge. Line up your edges all the way across, and do this one too. Line them up. And again, I cut these two strips a little longer than I needed because I wanted to make sure it would cover all of the edges. So go ahead and stitch a 1/4 inch seam, then press the seams, and then trim anything off on the outer edges. So this is what the front of the pillow will look like when it is done. Now before you go on to the next step, you need to make a decision. Are you going to use cotton batting? If you are, then you need to do quilting stitches. If you're not sure what quilting stitches are, if you look real close, you'll see these little squiggly lines all over. You can also do straight lines. If you've never done quilting stitches before, I do have a tutorial on how to do it, and it will be listed below your YouTube screen. Your other option is, and if you're going to do quilting stitches, you need to put your cotton batting underneath on the back side, pin everything down, and then do your quilting stitches. But if you don't want to put cotton batting in it, I would advise you to use a lightweight fusible interfacing, and you would just put it on the back, follow package instructions. It will require a hot iron with steam and a damp cloth, and it only takes just a couple of minutes to fuse it on. And this will hold all of the seams going in the correct direction. Here's what mine looks like on the back with the lightweight fusible interfacing on it. If you want to put the piping on it, like what I have on the edge of my pillow, and you don't know how to do it, I have a separate tutorial on how to add piping onto a project. So that link will be listed below your YouTube screen. Before you put your fabric for the back of the pillow, if you're going to do piping, you need to attach it to these edges first. Once you have the piping secured, then you're going to take your fabric for the back and bring it down. Now, the one thing I want to mention to you is that your size may be different than mine. So what I like to do is lay mine down, front side down, and with the front side of the back fabric up. Then trim this piece to fit the block exactly. Now you're going to stitch all of the edges together, but you're going to leave an opening at the bottom end of the pillow. Here's your top end. So you want to leave your opening down here, and you want it large enough so that your hand can go through, so that you can insert the poly-fill stuffing. So start on this side of your opening and back stitch, and then stitch a 1/4 inch seam all the way around every 4 edges, and then where I have the 2 pins you want to stop and then back stitch. Before you turn it front side out, you need to trim a little bit of the fabric off of the corners. I trim it down to about 1/8 inch wide. Make sure you don't get too close to your stitches because this will come apart. So, and the reason for cutting this fabric off at the corner a little bit is that it helps the corners to poke out. So do that at all 4 corners. Now reach in between your 2 pieces of fabric, and you're going to begin turning it front side out. So I'll just go all the way to the bottom corner and start pulling it out. After you've turned it front side out, you just want to reach back in through your opening and just go in and poke out all your corners. Don't use anything really sharp because it's going to go right through that stitch line. Then you want to take your poly-fill stuffing and you want to break it up into small little chunks like this, because otherwise your pillow is going to look really, really lumpy. Then take a handful of it, insert it in, and what I like to do is take it and push it all the way to the back. So I'll fill in my 2 corners here and then across this way and slowly fill it up towards the front, making sure you fill the corners out first and then finish this up. Then when you've got it filled, you want to take those opening edges and fold them in 1/4 inch, bring the 2 edges together and pin. I recommend you do a ladder stitch to close it up. It's a hidden stitch, and the link on how to do a ladder stitch is also listed below your YouTube screen. This is what your pillow should look like, whether you chose this option with the cotton batting and the piping, or you chose just to use the interfacing on the inside. If you're interested in other pillow projects, I have many. There's going to be a link listed below your YouTube screen. And remember the placemat I showed you at the beginning of the tutorial? That is also going to be listed below your YouTube screen. Well, I hope you learned something from this. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you'll receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.